Yo, what's good, y'all? It's your boy LT the Sage coming to you with another video, and I am going to be doing a live review of the Tower of Zot. It was my first run here, and I am doing it as a Gunbreaker. And I'm going to bring in my League of Legends style of reviewing gameplay with my dungeon run. So I'm going to be showing you the dungeon run here. You're going to be seeing it behind your screen. If you don't want to be spoiled for the first dungeon, again, come back to this video later if you're a tank, or if you want to understand the tank role, how the tanks work, how to kind of see what's going on out there in Eorzea, or in this case, in the towers, one of the towers. So this is my first dungeon in the new expansion, and this dungeon was actually pretty nice. It wasn't too crazy new or anything like that. As you see here, as my first pull, I'm gonna take in, run in, make sure I got the aggro on these guys. My take stances on. Of course, you want to have your tank stance on, but I'm gonna go ahead and grab this guy here, this fiend. I went ahead and grabbed him, and then this is a good testament. So I go ahead and put up basically, I'm gonna test out my healer, see what my healer's doing here, see how I'm getting a feel. This was a scholar white mage, so white mage is actually a pretty good healer. They do like, as you'll see later on in this little run, they do like to play a little yo-yo with your HP. Sometimes you get a little worried when you get to a lower abilities, but understanding who you're actually tanking with is a big thing. I'm a little out of practice, but I know for a fact that when you're raiding or doing any type of content with white mages, they have burst heal, so getting below half 50%, not outside of the norm. Again, we didn't take on too many enemies right here. As you see, I'm running in, and I did have my new ability, Harder Conundrum. This ability replaces Harder Stone on my hotbar here. You see, I am using controller, so if you have any if you want any information on controller tips, let me know. I'm sure you guys love the little commentary here, but probably definitely could have taken it this way, this far. I don't know how far that pull can be extended, so it looks like maybe we don't need to complete enemies by that point. We can actually pull the enemies all the way over to here. Next time I pull, when everyone's just a little bit more geared up and higher, I will test that theory out. You might be able to pull this whole first floor, which is absolutely insane. But I luckily on my first run, I did not get a sage healer. So by the time I was doing this dungeon, it was late off of the first day. Probably some level 80 sages. Definitely going to be in your groups now if you're running some of this content. So I ran another instance with a sage healer earlier, and it was a lower tier dungeon, so lower level, and you can tell that he wasn't too sure of what to do with those lower levels. So those are going to be the main thing that people are going to have to kind of get a feel for on healer, is that sage, once you're utilizing those level 80 skills, and some of those skills, because I've actually worked on sage a little bit myself, some of those skills are very important to your rotations and to your burst healing, saving, and shielding your capabilities there as sage. So if you're in a group of a sage for like leveling dungeons and those type of things, 50, 60, 70, 80 dungeon queues, just be patient with them. Maybe take one less pack with you, especially as Gunbreaker. When you don't have access to this conundrum, this Harder Conundrum ability is amazing. So what it does is it gives you a Harder Stone shield like you're used to, but it does proc off of your kill. Your secondary, my button right there. It procs off of that, so it gives you additional abilities, additional healing effects. This new, I don't know how I feel about the new, basically big hit indicator. I don't know, y'all. Y'all tell me in the chat. That'll be the question. How do you feel about the new tank buster indicators or big hit indicators that they have? Huge red tapestry all over your body. It's crazy to me that is it takes some of the skill, and it's more reactionary than understanding a fight. I like to kind of learn the names and the abilities and stuff like that. But anyways, so we're against this first guy here. To be honest, you can pretty much get through this dungeon not knowing any of the mechanics. So as you see there, this is my first time through. I know I'm running Harder Conundrum right there. Sorry if I did it wrong before, but my Brutal Shell, yeah, works off of your Brutal Shell combo, your Keen Edge Brutal Shell combo. I'm going into my combos here, my rip combos, getting some good DPS off. I was really proud of myself right here. I felt like jumping back on the Gunbreaker, it's pretty simple. Gunbreaker really has some simple DPS skills and abilities. So as you can see here, I'm kind of pulling him over to this one. To be honest with you, this mechanic, it doesn't seem like there doesn't seem to be much to it. So you, like right there, that was all reactionary. You have time really to kind of move to one space, get your bearings about you, and then move on to the next area. And as a tank, I do have the ability to miss, you know, I can miss one or two of the AoEs and stuff like that without really getting hurt. Pop a cooldown here or there, and I'll be fine. The healer will get me, right? And so as you see excuse me, as you see my white mage got her wings on, healing out of her mind. I didn't really need it. I wasn't really getting hit, and I wasn't really taking much damage from this boss. As you see there, I almost me and the healer almost walk into that one. And then this one was a little tough. This one, I think I do get hit by this, and actually multiple of our teammates do get hit. And you'll see me here kind of shade him away from some of the, that's what I like to do as well as a tank. When you see your, you know, someone's low, especially with seeing these bars now, when people are low, you know, shade the boss away from them just in case they do have some type of conal attack ability. You want to just shy away from them here. I'm basically proccing too. So I proc Aurora, pretty much off a cooldown in Harder Conundrum. And then I'll proc Aurora and my camouflage ability. And camouflage, it's nice, but it's not really a tank buster item. You really need to pair camouflage with Aurora or camouflage with something else in order for it to really have a mainstay here. So I'm just guessing on this mechanic. It doesn't really give you an option here. And we jump over to the circle. I didn't make it, but I'm a tank, so it doesn't really matter. So we get there. These Cure 2s are 10k procking on me. I'm doing fine. My healer's doing good. And a couple of our DPS took some damage here. We had a Dragoon here, was doing pretty good. And I love the Kaz, is actually my boy. He actually jumped back in the queue. I told him I got Tower of Zot finally. And he jumped back online to run it with me. So big ups to Kaz there, running that with me on his Summoner class. It looks like the DPS this dungeon was pretty well. I didn't see any issues or anything with it. You know, to be honest with you, everything seemed pretty normal for this dungeon. So again, I'm not thinking this one's going to be super tough. These first dungeons are usually just a good intro into what you're going to be doing and giving a good idea of your skills and your capabilities, especially if you've already hit 82 and gotten your first set of new abilities. So Harder Conundrum is the big one here. It really procs off of your Keen Edge. You want to make sure you're procking that, especially if you put it on as you'll see later, I'm going to put it on one of my teammates in order to help them stay alive. It's definitely a good thing for that, and it's going to be a good piece of weaponry for raiding, especially if you're going to be doing a kind of the sub-tank role. It looks like Gunbreaker is going to be better in that sub-tank role, for sure. It looks like the mitigation options. This is the last one. Everything else is going to be damage, and yeah, you're going to get some utility with it as well. Like Aurora on an 84. Aurora actually does get a buff, which is beautiful. We need an Aurora buff. Aurora is, to me, your best cooldown defensive ability. And because it's your best cooldown defensive ability, you're most versatile, I should say. It's not your best one, obviously. You have Harder Stone, you have a couple others that are better overall for mitigation levels. But Aurora it's just a good top off. Like if you're doing one of these pulls, you see I'm doing decent pulls here. I want to, test what I'm doing. This is my first big dungeon run on Gunbreaker in a while, so I want to just get a feel for the dungeon. You don't want to go too crazy, but you also don't want to use the trust system as a tank, because it's just speed over, you know. If you're a tank, just run it. You know, you're gonna probably find someone who has a decent idea of what they're doing. And as you see here, we're having zero issues with this dungeon. You'll see on this next boss, it's a little interesting. I did run into some issues understanding the mechanics on this next one, but I don't think you're meant to understand exactly what is going on in the first instances. If you're like a sayer, and now here, this is one where I kind of pop my cooldowns a little late here. Okay, so you see Harder Conundrum there, procs for 13,575. So I did get a good proc there, and Telegrammaton from our White Mage keeping me up. You see me running that Brutal Shell combo. Now, this is what one of my tricks of the trade, you say, as a Gunbreaker. If you're really in a pinch, just keep moving. Pop Aurora, right? Pop your cooldowns. But if you're really low, and if you're really feeling like you're having some issues, definitely run that 2-barrel Keen Edge combo, the Keen Edge Brutal Shell combo. You want to run that, and just keep doing it. Just keep doing Keen Edge Brutal Shell, Keen Edge Brutal Shell, Keen Edge Brutal Shell. Just keep running that 2 combo if you're in a pinch. Okay. Again, this is only if you're in a pinch. If you're over, I would say 30% health, don't do it. Your healer's probably going to take care of you, especially if you're, like I stated before, running a White Mage. They will do DPS first. But definitely run that 2-hit combo. You definitely want to do that, because unfortunately, the issues that arise is that that's going to give you your most sustain, right? Just to give your healer time to get you back to full. And once your healer gets you back to full, you'll be good to go. You can go back into your combos, which, to be honest with you, will wait for you. While you do that Keen Edge Brutal Shell combo, it will wait for you. Most of the things, most of the items and damages. So Estiva Sadihi, I don't know if that's the proper way to say that, but went ahead and that's the looks like the Tank Buster. And then this particular boss goes into this Lancer, very slow 4 kind of cross section, these conal damages. To me, was pretty interesting. It didn't seem super tough at all. And so we get these orbital balls here, and we move away from it. Makes sense that this is the area you would need to go, just based on what we looked on. We get it, and we're all in there, and we all avoid that AoE. And this one is okay, yeah, it's kind of a frontal spinel. A lot of these attacks were very slow, so it was interesting to see some of these attacks easily avoidable. Now, she does put up this I was thinking about Kingdom Hearts on this part. Stop, God! I wanted to yell Mickey out, but she does put up this time warp. Now, I'm not too sure what you need to do to avoid this, so if you know in the chat, definitely help anybody who's watching this video out. I ended up getting hit by it. I ended up stopping temporal displacement. I don't know if you can miss it, or you just want to make sure you're not in the position to get hit by any of her attacks. But it did look like she specifically aimed for people that were, hit by it. So once you get hit, it's just up to the healer and everybody else to pretty much heal through it. This one, she uses Shadow Clone Jutsu. Jesus, I don't know. Definitely looking back now, I don't know how to figure out who's the real one. I was a really tough one, but this is the thing right here. I popped Camouflage, and I feel like I had enough mitigation right there, and I did. A Divine Benison was on me. Harder Conundrum pop, my Brutal Shell combos. I'm healing back, and I go into my No Mercy window. I thought it was a good time to go through my No Mercy window, and I'm ripping, and she gets me. She gets me with this freeze. Again, I'm the tank. I don't mind it. I come back out, pop a cooldown just to be on the safe side. I wasn't sure if there's anything going to follow up with that attack. And I love it. I love this rip jaw combo with the Gunbreaker. I get stopped, I get caught, I get paused, come back, and my combos are ready for me. And right there, I get stopped again. Battle Litany pops off from my Lancer, and I couldn't attack right there. And it looks like my teammates are all turned into combos, except for me. Not too sure why it changed. I'm following my teammates. and I follow the wrong person. So follow the wrong person. We at least only got hit by one AoE, but again, I took no damage. I was able to pop my Heart of Conundrum right there, and then pop a heal right afterwards. Again, it does a great job getting at heals and feels going on for it. So we cut again, Brutal Shell combo, getting that heal off from it. Again, that procs off of your Brutal Shell combo. If I didn't say that like 500 million times, but she just goes through the same kind of combinations here. Real simple. Again, a couple of mechanics there where she goes into her shadow clone jutsu. Definitely want to be mindful of the shadow clones. Trying to figure out which one's the real one. I will kind of look back on this video to kind of see how you're able to tell. I did get a couple of things of gear here. There seem to be a lot of treasure coffers in this run. For the first dungeon, I expect there to be a lot of treasure coffers. I got a new sword, and I got a new gun blade, I should say, and I got a new fit, which didn't last long. The fit didn't last long. I got something stronger later on down the road. But again, we're running this now. A couple of those, I think I was a little uneasy after a couple of those runs in the boss area. So, and again, I don't know how strong these enemies are. This is the first dungeon. We're all not properly geared. Nobody was on a new class, so everybody seemed to be on classes they're pretty comfortable with. So I'm not going to, that wasn't an alarming factor for me, but the alarming factor is, you know, this is a new dungeon. Let's take it slow. Let's not go crazy. This is probably a couple of people's first time, my first time, and I don't want to go crazy. See, this is where I was like, okay, I'm glad I didn't pull the whole floor, right? And her cure's doing about 10K, but I'm getting pummeled, right? I threw off my Catharsis Conundrum, and then we're starting to kill them. So I did get that Brutal Shell proc. You see that Brutal Shell proc, almost 3K health. That's nothing to bug at when you're going through AoE phases, etc., or especially in boss battles. That's gonna get you topped off pretty easily there. So that's pretty good. But no, we're gonna go through the Zot gunships here. And on another note, I thought maybe we can move through there and get some more enemies. So in this run, you do want to pull all the way here. So you want to pull all the way for my fellow tanks, pull all the way to the Zot gunships for sure. You want to pull all the way out here. I kind of didn't pull out, just be on the safe side. You don't know what's going to be, how crazy it's going to be. But healers, be sure to understand that this pull is going to be pretty extensive, pretty lengthy. You see, I almost wet the bed on that last one, and we didn't even have these gunships. But you should be pulling to this door. So, all right, we're gonna move, or if you're trying to take it easy, just do what I did. Pull to that middle round, to the motorcycle demon, and take it in two parts. If you want to, kind of get comfortability. That's why I love to do these, because I want to show you guys how I'm pulling, especially on my first runs. And show you exactly what I think or see. I usually work off of, I take a look. I know enough about pulling and mass pulling to understand what to expect. All right, so I dropped my Karthus because what I'm finding out after running the dungeon so far is I can pop Catharsis right before a pull. And then by the time we get into the mid-range of getting these guys killed, I can pop, it's up again to pop. So you really want to pop that Heart of Conundrum, that Hawk, that HOC, baby. And you really want to prop that and have that going as much as possible. As you see, I was able to pop it again midway through this pull. And that's a godsend. That's a godsend. I don't have to really push or pull any of my huge cooldowns, like Rampart, and my other ones, my Heart of Stone. Now, one of the things I did mention that I did forget on this one, and I know a bunch of my Gunbreaker mains are down in the comment section going absolutely insane. I get it, I know. But this is my first run. I wasn't using Heart of Stone as much as I wanted to. And Nebula was something I used in the final boss, I believe, but I didn't use it as much as I needed to, for sure. So Heart of Stone and Nebula, as well as the other Heart ability, I'm going to add those. I'm adding those as we speak. You'll see that on the next dungeon, me using those a little bit more liberally, a little bit more freely as a cooldown. That's the only thing with Gunbreaker, is that there is a substantial amount of cooldowns. Now, luckily, Heart of Stone has been replaced on my hotbar below with Heart of Conundrum. So no changes to my boosting my bar there. And my full array of damage abilities here have been went from 4 to 2. So I have extra 2. So I put Blood Flesh on my main bar bottom, and I added Lightning Shot. Before, Lightning Shot was something that I used very sparingly due to the camera, due to the controller issues. You know, that those type of abilities are pretty, you know, they're not the greatest. Those moving pull abilities on certain areas of the controller. So I didn't use it often, but now that I was able to move that to the front here. I like to keep all my defensive cooldowns on a L1 flip, so I know where they're at and keep them there at all times. And here we go, Harbingers elect the Magus Sisters. So basically, we've been facing the first 2. This one's the main baddie. As you can see, got the pig outfit rocking. We're good to go. I did get an item, so I went ahead and equipped that real quick, and we're gonna head in and take on the boss. So this boss was interesting. So there's a couple of things I want to note while we're going through this boss. Again, in the comment section below on any of these comments, let me know how you feel about this particular dungeon, the Tower of Zot. I like it. It was actually, I like I'm not too big on the bosses themselves. If you're following the storyline, there's some actual story implications to who you're fighting. So you absolutely understand why you're fighting these people and why you're fighting them in this fashion and form. But again, they you know, as far as the storyline goes, when it came to these peeps, wasn't really too big on them. But again, pretty cool magics and effects that they have for sure. So here, I'm gonna be honest, it's pretty much madness until you get one of these guys out. So it's 3 on the screen, and what I we did not do that. We all pretty much, a couple people got layered on top of each other. Now this is a tank buster. I didn't really see any attack, and this is what I really didn't like about this. Is when I started not liking it. I'm looking up for the attack name, and I didn't see anything. So it's just a strong hit. You're gonna get hit hard. So there's not really an attack against it. The bad guy is just gonna hit you really hard, and you're gonna have to make sure to drop a cooldown or 2 to mitigate that. So keep that in mind. Your hard hits now may not be reflective of abilities that they're casting or anything on the top side of their name. You're gonna have to really just look out for that indicator and make sure you have something available. And I don't like that because there's no rhyme or reason to it. And it does tell me that later on, we're probably just gonna be getting, we're gonna have AoE abilities hit, and then right after, they're gonna be able to just tat us up. Now this fight, I seem to be avoiding things, but my teammates did not seem like. And here, another buster with no name. I'm just getting bust. So I just get hit there. Divine Benison, again, my Heart of Conundrum pops right there. And Divine Benison from my White Mage. Medica 2, a little AoE heal Medica. Now I'm showing my boy over here, and he looks like he's hurting. my boy Kaz is hurting a little bit in the end of this fight. So I go ahead and I pop Catharsis of Conundrum, but I pop it on him. And this gives him, tops him off, as you can see. I need to find another way to say that. But it gives him a little shield there, and it gives him that the same abilities as my Keen Edge Brutal Shell combo. So as you see, we're just avoiding AoEs here. And I see that AoE on the floor. I'm like, let's run. And we get away from it, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So we go ahead and again, I'm dropping another a lot of tank busters in this last one, but there is 3 people at once. The only thing I could think of is this Mendruya. I may have needed to pull all 3 of them in to each other. That was the big thing that I was noticing on this one. I may needed to pull all 3. So keep that in mind, tanks. You may want to pull all 3 into the same position and area. I don't know if Madrid just doesn't move, because as you can see, they're on triangles. So they're all on these little dots on triangles. And the only one that really moved was Sendurva. And I did have her on my hate list. Okay, so get there. I got hit once by some of those AoEs, but we lined it up pretty well. And after that, after you defeat the the middle sister or the older sister there, you do go ahead and you're pretty much land free. These two don't really pose a threat. We already know their tricks. We've played them and faced them already. So after that, it was pretty easy. The main thing is that when all three of them are out, there are they are kind of splashing the screen with a bunch of AoEs, things you need to dodge, things you need to get out of. Again, make sure you keep. I need to do it myself. Make sure you keep your run on hotbar. And there you go. I got a regen on me from my white mage. Pop Searing Light coming through. She's healing me really, really well right now, which I don't need it. She could probably focus on some DPS right there. And you see, we actually defeat both of them at the same time. So that is the dungeon, and I kind of cut it there. I don't want to spoil anything for you guys in this run, but I am going to. That's it for this one. I'm going to do those for all dungeons that we go through. My first runs, you're going to see the good, bad, and ugly, no matter what type of team I got. I may not always have people. By the time we go through the next ones, we may be having some newer classes, some sages, and some reapers. So keep that in mind. But yeah, that is it for the review. Again, I got this Mansuya coat of fending, beautiful. And there was a dancer weapon as well that was available. Passed on that. I don't have any dancer classes available at this time. But yeah, got that on. And just to show y'all real quick what it looks like. Oh, I got the Gunblade too. And I didn't put the coat on because it went into my inventory. But all right, y'all. So that's me. Again, I'll be live streaming on YouTube and all the places, all the fun, all the fixins this evening late. So check me out, and we'll be going through the storyline. I'm right now made it to Garlemald. So that's all I'm gonna say, and see you there. Peace out.